Right, in this section we're going to try a corkscrew, but with two hoops this time. So it looks like this. Both hoops going in the same direction, and they're doing the same movement we were doing before. We've got a circle below and a circle above, like so. But we're going to learn it without hoops to start with. So I want you to take your hands with the palm facing upwards like this, and I want you to turn your hands inwards. So your fingertips could be pointing towards your belly button like this. You need to lift your elbows up slightly, but your palms are still going to be facing straight upwards. And then from this position, I want you to rotate both hands round, again as if you're holding a plate in this position, and we'll rotate them round under one arm. Here we go. Keeping my hands flat, as if I'm trying to keep a plate with food from tipping over. Come round, I'm going to lean back slightly, so I can keep my hands flat above my head like this, and then again, come round under the other arm. So the whole time, my palms are pointing upwards. If I wanted to, I could have a plate on my hands in this position, and it would be relatively flat, depending on how much you distort your body. So let's try it again. Fingers pointed towards my belly button, palms upwards. I'm going to do circle above, and a circle below. Circle above, circle below. See, I need to move my elbows quite a lot for this. I'm bending forwards a bit, and leaning back. So that's the movement we're going to be doing, but with hoops in our hands. So make sure you feel nice and comfortable doing that. It's exactly the same as we were doing with one hand, but both hands next to each other. That should feel fairly fluid. So when you feel comfortable with that, pick up your hoops. I'm going to have a go with hoops. Oh, I've got to get my hoops in my hands. Like so. And then I want you to grab the hoops on the outside, like this. And just as before when we started this exercise, we had our fingertips pointed towards us. We're going to have our hoops pointed slightly down into our bodies here. And our palms facing upwards, but gripping the hoops. So from here, with the hoops overlapping in this position, we're going to do the same thing we just did, kind of pretending now that our hoops are the plate. And we're rotating them around, with one hoop staying on top of the other one the whole time. Like so. Imagining you're doing exactly what you were doing before, without the hoops, but now you've got hoops in your hands. You should start to get this movement. If you've got big hoops, they are going to have to go a bit floppy at the front of this. They're going to have to flop down a bit. They're not going to end up being perfectly flat like this, because there's not going to be space to make that movement. But that's fine. They can flop down a bit. You're still going to get that shape, which looks quite attractive. Sort of snaky figure 8 shape. Now this isn't quite the move yet. That's the bulk of the move, so if you got to that position, you're like 99% of the way there. But now we want to try it with the hoops going slightly less in sync. So we want one hoop to pull forwards away from the other one. Now if you're doing this to the right, with the right hand moving first, which is the hoop spinning anti-clockwise if you're looking down from above. So then the right hand, it's sort of leading the pattern the whole time. So when I do it without the hoops, it's my right hand that comes up first, and it's my right hand that comes down first. So then it's my right hand that's going to start pulling away from the left hand, like this. So one hoop follows the other one. We try that with hoops. Leaning forwards a bit to start the movement, fingertips pointing towards my belly. I come up and down, and I start pulling that right one slightly in front of the left one, until they're never overlapping. It's always one in front of the other, like so. Now try it both directions. You might find one direction easier than the other direction. You might find for some reason that starting with your left hand is easier. So definitely try it both directions, and anyway it's good practice to learn it in both directions. You'll find it easier to move around. Other thing which might help if you're struggling with this move, or you're struggling going into it, can help to come into it from this horizontal pirouette. So you're turning with your palms facing upwards, and then try coming under into this movement. So I'll show you that again. I'm turning, and I'm going to bring my right hand, I think about moving my right hand first. I'm turning this way, again, anti-clockwise from above, turning round to my left. I'm going to bring my right hand down, my left hand up, and I'm going to come into this two-handed corkscrew. Now it might take a bit of practice to get it feeling really comfortable, but when you work them in the bed, it feels really nice. Like so. So, now at this point, once you start getting comfortable with it, I want you to start to work in with the horizontal moves we're doing. We can also start to think about moving around a bit and how what we do with our body affects the pattern. So for example, I could do it with my wrists really close the whole way around, or I could make bigger arm movements like this. I could have a bigger distance between my wrists. I could bend down more with it, so I could get into more of this sort of bent leg stance here. I could open it up at the top. When I come to the top of the pattern, my hands are in this position here where we're doing a pirouette. So I could open up my arms and then come back into the corkscrew. Then I could lean back a bit with that arm opening movement, like so, and then come down. So you can move around and do all sorts of experimenting with levels with that trick. It's quite a flowing, pleasant movement. And when you link that together with all the other horizontal moves we were doing in the earlier sections, you start to come up with quite a few movements you can do and that you can just sort of flow around with. They're quite a lot of fun. So at this point I want you to stop watching the video and I want you to put on a song and I want you to try and work this corkscrew movement, this two-hoop corkscrew, into the horizontal flow that we've been working on. So play that for the whole song, you need some longer on a couple of songs. Really start to feel comfortable whacking in this corkscrew and moving around freely, this horizontal pace.